What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Starfield yet again, the reviews and what we can kind of expect for reviews when they go live next Thursday, as well as some leaks that are going on, non-spoiler, but I do think it kind of makes a funny story, so I do want to go over it. And kind of let's start there. A warning, basically, right? If you don't want to be around for Starfield spoilers, your train kind of left like a few days ago. I mean, I've actually done a really good job of dodging all this stuff, but there is a guy online that is just going absolutely crazy with the leaks. There's some pretty funny stuff that he's creating, but honestly, I guess his story, I feel like he either stole or he was given like an entire almost palette of Starfield games. This is the guy who made like the YouTube Shorts videos, and I think he leaked like 45 seconds of our gameplay or 60 seconds of it today. The guy's kind of going nuts, but from what it sounds like, he doesn't play games. This was on accident. Again, he either stole the thing from the warehouse or they gave it to him. He's selling copies. He's asking people to like donate to him for like footage. It's not all great. In fact, he's kind of like lost his moment in the stardom. He's kind of like overstaying his welcome and again charging people for things. But there's that. I just kind of wanted to throw that in there, just throw in my 2 cents. Not the greatest thing of all time. Kind of started okay, started kind of funny, and now it's kind of like, well, he's just looking for money in exchange for either he's going to sell you the copy or he's going to give like early footage. It's kind of a mess right now, but that's a thing I guess to mention with spoilers, right? So spoilers are actually more than out there. This guy is more than willing to share them, and I'm sure there's other people. There's pictures of the game kind of making its way out into the wild, and obviously I'm sure that'll happen even more over the next week. Now, in terms of the reviews, obviously they go live again next Thursday, I believe 9 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. for me, but I'm very excited to see what people think. Now, some general thoughts about this. Number one, that day is going to be pretty unbearable, okay, for maybe the entirety of the internet, definitely Twitter, and it's primarily because of fanboys. And it's fanboys, let me make this clear, it's going to be fanboys on both sides. The PlayStation side is going to kind of disregard, I imagine, anything positive that would happen about any good scores, any 10 out of 10s, any 9 out of 10s. You'll probably be seeing some clips around, again, from them that are going to be spun in a negative way. But one thing that is kind of disgusting, and this goes for both sides. Remember, I hate console fanboys. I'm not one myself, and I really wish they would all just kind of get lost. So I just want to make that kind of clear. But what you see with things like this is a total disregard for like respect, and that I personally don't respect. So it's going to happen here. It's going to happen for Spider-Man, and what's going to happen is you're going to have a blatant disregard for the biggest spoilers you can possibly imagine, right? People that, you know, in their hearts, you know, they don't want to ruin it for people, or they're abiding by the NDAs, they're abiding by the rules. Obviously, they're not going to do anything, but you're probably going to have people from the other side that say, well, let's look at the most like egregious leaks. Let's look at like anything we can, and we're either going to spin it or we're just going to ruin the day for the other person. So Starfield gets to go first, you know, bravo, it releases first. So you're going to have, I assume, PlayStation people saying, okay, well, here's the ending, because we don't care, because obviously we're a team PlayStation, you know, anti-team Xbox, so here's the ending. I guarantee you, number one, that's going to happen, and number two, the exact same thing is going to happen for Spider-Man 2. It's disgusting, it's honestly a loser kind of behavior, but it's what has happened, you know, in the past. On the other side of things, you know, again, you got to watch out for fanboys on both sides. So Xbox stuff, the reason I bring this up, and I've said this before, in terms of review scores, what I'm excited to see that day is what's said. I'm excited to see what is said, or any kind of new details that are not too spoiler-like, right? They get revealed on that Thursday. New gameplay, right? Because you're going to see, like, new moments of the game. But there are some times where games say, okay, well, you're limited to, you can only show so much of the game. We don't want you. I think The Last of Us was kind of like that, right? Last was part 2. They only wanted to show the Ellie stuff. You weren't allowed, I believe, to maybe even mention the Abby stuff, or at least show the Abby stuff in the review video for that game. That happens from time to time. It is kind of rare. So on the flip side of things, I do imagine Starfield is going to be a little bit more open and say, just show, you know, whatever you want. So I'm sure we'll see planets we've never seen before. I'm sure we'll see kind of activities or characters that we've never seen before. That's the stuff I'm excited for. That's personally for me. And also, again, then what is said? You know, if there's mention of bugs, if there's the talk of lifeless planets versus not lifeless planets, those are the things I want to read about. I want to see what people are saying. On the flip side of things, the review score, I could honestly care less. I'm very much, strong on that opinion. I've done like review score predictions. I could do one for Starfield right now if you want me to, but no, I mean, honestly, I don't go by scores, and I would encourage as many people as possible to also not go by scores. I've said it time and time again. Tell me the difference between like an 8.2 and 8.3. Once you can do that, maybe then I'll let up on review scores. But to me, they're kind of meaningless. There is no difference in that kind of short range. A 9 to a 9.1, there's no difference there. And ultimately, scores kind of just boil down all of these things that are said about a game into one thing, and it doesn't really do its job, in my opinion. So I don't really care what it gets. I guess, okay, I'll say this. If it were to get, say, like a 60 or lower, that would maybe sound off some alarms where it's like, okay, if that's the average, if that's like hundreds of people giving it a 6 out of 10 or lower, we need to look at like what actually happened. Like, is there some serious problems? But again, if it's a 8.5 or an 8.7, doesn't matter to me. If it gets into the 9s, it gets into the 9s. I've said, I think my prediction, at least on Twitter, was maybe somewhere in like the 87 to 89 range. That's personally what I think. So I think it'll get into the high 8s, maybe into obviously the low 9s for some scores, but I would imagine that's the average, and that's just a prediction of mine. We'll see if I'm right or wrong, but again, it doesn't truly matter. But be safe, be on the lookout for, I guess, what you want to see. If you're in it for spoilers, you may want to track down those fanboys, or if you're into spoilers, you go seek them out. If you're not, again, be careful, I guess, from certain people online. But above all else, when these scores and when these things come out, I guess just do a little bit of I don't want to tell you what to do. I guess that is what this video is telling you what to do. You do whatever you want, to be flat out honest with you. You do whatever you want. But I would encourage, just to kind of think about where things are coming from. Does a site have a slant on it? We've actually seen some sites that have been pretty like outrageously mean to Starfield, and maybe it's because they don't have review codes and they're jealous. That absolutely does happen. We've seen Kotaku do that multiple times, and there's other sites that have been known to do it, right? So you just gotta kind of be careful. Like, is a site gonna give it a 10 out of 10 purposely because of whatever reason? Is a site going to give it a 6 out of 10 for whatever reason? Is a site going to be more mean to it for whatever reason? You just got to kind of look out for that. So again, that's why scores are becoming less and less, like they matter at all, because there's all of this kind of political stuff that goes on, I guess, pretty much with every game, but obviously it's amplified with the bigger, exclusive Starfield, Spider-Man, etc. So just be careful out there. Do some judgment on your own. I'm getting the game no matter what. I assume a lot of people are or aren't getting the game already. The scores aren't going to really change anybody's mind, but we'll see how it goes. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.